welcome back to my channel. So just continuing with my discovery on the native flora down here in the Ozarks of Missouri. And not too long ago I did a video where it said I was asking, am I a wild native rose, Missouri rose, whatever it was I called it. Anyway, they bloomed, and if you watched that video, you'll remember me saying if they bloom white, sadly they are a multiflora rose, and if they bloom pink, then they are a very common native rose plant down here in Missouri called prairie rose. So they bloomed white. They still smell amazing. They will still produce a rose hip that is environmentally friendly for both the wildlife. The birds can eat the seeds. Sadly, that is how they are spread, is from birds eating the seeds. And humans can still, use this in every way that you would use a rose. You can pick bouquets of them, bring them in the house. They do smell amazing. Here, I'll let you smell. Isn't that incredible? Very sweet and woodsy. So they were introduced in, I don't know if it was in the Midwest or in just my state. I don't know when they were introduced, but they are native from Japan and Korea, where they are not an invasive plant. They're a native plant there. Here, they're an invasive plant. So they were brought over to be like hedgerows and things like that. I don't know what people were thinking back in those days. Thankfully, now we have a conservation department. We have people who watch this kind of thing, and non-native plants brought into another area, they just take over. So that's the problem with these, is they're so prolific that each little hip, each one of these every single one of those is going to produce a hip. In every hip, there are at least 20 seeds. Those seeds are consumed by birds and other wildlife and then dropped everywhere. This plant is so aggressive that it will actually kill off the native plants. Ugh, dun dun dun. So furthermore, it is illegal to cultivate them in my state. It is illegal to sell them. You can possess them for sale if they are being used as rose stock. In other words, if you're a professional and you are creating new rose stock, you can possess them. But otherwise, they're just considered a noxious weed. And even further and beyond that is your county, any county in the whole state of Missouri can step in and say, you have to eradicate that. You can't have that growing on your property. So this property's been left alone for 70 plus years. Nobody's done anything with it. Nobody's complained about anything on it. So that's not likely to happen. But I don't want them here. So I'm going to go ahead and allow these two mamas to produce this year so that we can still get the rose hips from her and enjoy her. She's getting ready to bud out just beautifully. And I can still enjoy her. But after the blooming season is over, I will sadly have to cut them down and eradicate them from the ground, which means digging down with a mattock and getting rid of them and replant it with something else. So the good news is the gooseberries are very viable and they're producing gooseberries. So sadly, these little flowers are gonna have to go. So every day can't be a diamond. If it is, then diamonds become mundane and you have to start looking forward to platinum. So you got to take the good with the bad. So I have 17 acres of this, which is of no use to me. So that's the bad. The good news is I have the rest of my life to do whatever, eradicate it, don't eradicate it, whatever I want to do. It's my choice. Nobody's going to step up and say, get rid of all that. That would be absolutely ridiculous. So that's the sad story of the invasive plant known as multiflora. And I will probably replace these two mamas with a prairie rose, native prairie roses, so I can still have the rose hips. Smells sweet. But a rose by any other name is still a rose as long as it stays in its own lane. When it comes over here, it becomes a weed. All right, guys, love and light. Peace out.